All right. So, students, today we are going to discuss in detail about uh, what is really a general argument and what is principal argument. Right here, principal argument. Well, everyone knows a complex number basically can be expressed as x plus iota y or a plus iota b. Now, here when I talk about x plus iota y, I can always say that what that p is a number on the Argand plane, means I'm taking y-axis as imaginary axis and I'm taking x-axis as real axis. So p can be easily expressed in terms of x and y or a and b. All right. So this common sense I should have. Now, what is basically the argument? Everybody knows. If I connect origin and point P, the location of point P, I know that this theta is basically known as argument. Am I right, Sahajdeep Singh?
Yes, sir.
Correct. This theta is the argument. Basically, it's an angle. Now, how the angle is measured? Either the angle is measured in degree or Ishma, the angle is measured in
Radian.
radians. Okay, so Sahaj, what is the relation between degree and radian?
Sir, um,
Pi radian.
sir, the
Pi
sir,
radian
sir,
is equal
60
to
degree is expressed in 2 radian, sir. 2
uh,
pi.
pi radians is equal to 180 degree actually. If this is a straight line,
Yes,
Sahaj,
sir.
and if I take this angle, this is pi radian, or you can say this is equal to 180 degree. So the complete angle is basically 2 pi radians. That is 360 degree. Am I right? Very good.
Yes, sir.
So normally when I go for calculation of theta, I do not take degrees. This is the universal principle. Whenever I put the value for theta in any calculation in algebra or anywhere geometry, I'll normally take radians. Okay, it's a acceptable value. Fine. So when I talk about journal argument is basically 0 to 360 degree. Very simple. I say theta is basically 0 to 2 pi. But when I talk about principal argument, how I define principal argument, principal generally. Principal argument, I define. Any one of you can explain how I define principal argument instead of simply starting the angle from here, going anti-clockwise and coming till 360. Any one of you can explain how I define principal argument?
Yes.
Yes. So I'll explain. So principal argument when I want to explain, so I go like this. Now this is what? This is 0 to pi.
180.
Yeah, we will not talk in terms of degree now. We can say pi radians. 0 to pi. Am I right? And when I go in the clockwise direction, always remember the angle is taken to be negative theta. Always remember. Always remember, when I go in anti-clockwise direction, the theta is taken as positive.
Positive.
And when I go anti-clockwise, the theta is taken as negative. Suppose if I talk about this angle, so this angle will be minus pi by 2 or minus 90 degree. If I talk about this angle, if I go in the right direction, that is anti-clockwise, I'll say pi by 2. So principal argument is basically what? Minus pi to pi. Now if I go from here, minus pi, now minus pi to pi. This is the range of principal argument. Very simple. Now, when I talk about journal argument, you will see the difference. We're going to do very fast. Now, let's say I talk about first quadrant, right? In the first quadrant, x and y both are positive, right?
Yes.
X and y both are positive. Let's say my point is here. My point is P. P, X, Y. This is my point. So very simple. This is my theta. This is my theta. There is no there is no alpha in this case. But here I define alpha also in order to go from minus pi to pi. So this is very simple. This is first quadrant theta, and second and third quadrant and fourth quadrant. When I talk about second quadrant, obviously my point is here. So again, the point is xy, and you know my x will be negative, right, Sajid? Because this is negative x-axis. My x will be negative, but y, because it is above
Positive.
x-axis, it will be positive. Very right. So this will be my argument. Am I right? This is my argument. Am I right? This is my theta. But that's all. I just defined like this. X is greater than 0, x is less than 0, y is greater than 0. And theta is between this angle to, in second quadrant, theta is between this angle to this angle. Am I right? So the limits are what? What is this angle? Pi by 2. So I say दिस इज पाई. पहले छोटे वाला लिख लो आप, पाई बाय टू, देन बड़े वाला, बीच में थीटा, एंड देन सिंपली डू लाइक दिस. दिस इज डिफाइंड पाई बाय टू. Theta is greater than pi by 2 but less than pi. Simple as that. When you talk about third quadrant, it is here. Now what is x and y? X is negative as well as y is also negative. Am I right? So
Yes.
this is your theta. Am I right? And theta is in which quadrant? Theta is in third quadrant. How will you define? What are the limits? This is pi.
So it is greater than pi.
Very right, very right, very good. So write the choti wali limit first. Then what is this angle? Pi by 2, pi by 2, pi by 2. You can say 3 pi by 2, right? Theta in the middle. So theta is greater than pi, less than 3 pi by 2. That's all. It's finished. And when you talk about the fourth quadrant, your P is here. So you can say your x is what?
X is greater than pi by
No, x is positive.
3 by 2 by.
And y is negative. Negative. You see this distance is negative, na? Any distance below the x-axis is taken negative. So y is negative. So this is my P of xy. Here my point lies. Okay? And obviously this is my theta. Now theta is in which quadrant? This is theta is in fourth quadrant. Okay? So very simple. You can say this angle is 0 or you can say this angle is 2 pi. Same thing. Now, but what is this angle? This angle is 3 pi by 2. Then chota wala pehla 3 pi by 2 to 2 pi. बीच में आ गया theta. That's all. So this is the simple notations of general argument. Am I right?
Yes.
Am I right? Any doubt in this? No doubt. Now, if you talk about principal argument, okay? So two cases will be, just see. Two cases I'll take like this. One, this one, and other one. Which one? This one. You see the second quadrant. Okay, this is my theta. This is my theta. Okay, this theta can be any angle in between this first quadrant. You understand? Theta can be any angle between the first quadrant. Try to understand. Hai na? And I assume theta is equal to alpha. I define one more angle as alpha. And alpha is strictly, what alpha is strictly more than 0 radian alpha and less than what? Pi by 2. Alpha is strictly in the first quadrant. For all the four quadrants, I will define alpha being in the first quadrant only. Remember that. Okay. So this is my theta in the second quadrant, right? This is my first quadrant. Now, interestingly, what will be my third quadrant? I will not take my third quadrant in this direction, as I made it clear in the starting. First and second quadrant here, third and fourth quadrant in the negative direction. Okay? You can imagine it that we are starting from minus pi. From here, we have gone from here to here. Then we are starting from here and then from here. This is the way we draw principal argument. Is it clear? Shall I explain again, Sajdeep?
Yes, it's clear.
What's that?
So it's clear.
It's clear. Very good. So once again, if I go clockwise, the angle is always, if I go clockwise, the angle may be always
Negative.
negative. Oh, beautiful. And if I go ulta, anti-clockwise, then the angle is Positive.
It's positive.
I do like this. Some other day I'll explain to you. There's a reason behind it. All right. The clock goes clockwise, but the theta we take anti-clockwise, first, second, third, fourth quadrant. The concept becomes clear when we go and enter engineering drawing in engineering college. If you take the otherwise, it becomes little difficult. So this is easier. All right. So now I want to now what will be this? So here x will be greater than 0, y will be greater than 0, obviously, है ना? In the first quadrant. So theta I'm assuming is equal to, not I'm assuming, my theta is my alpha is defined as angle between 0 and pi by 2. So my theta is also the same. Am I right? So
Yes.
theta is also what 0 less than theta less than pi by 2. Am I right? In the second quadrant, how will I define? In the second quadrant, yes, Ishma, do you remember, bache? How will I define the angle from here to here in the positive x direction? In the positive, in the anti-clockwise direction, that is taking theta positive. You remember?
Yes, sir. Theta is greater than pi by 2
Theta
and
pi by
less
2.
than pi.
Less than pi, very simple. Okay, pi by 2 is this and pi is this. Very good. बीच में आ गया हमारा theta greater than pi by 2 less than pi. ठीक है? All right. But how do you introduce alpha? You have to talk about alpha also in all the four cases. So how you introduce alpha?
Yes.
So what is the relation?
Theta is
Theta is equal to
pi minus alpha.
pi minus alpha. Okay. Now, Sehaj, I want to ask you, do you understand this? Why theta is equal to pi minus alpha? No. No. Don't worry, don't worry. Be honest.
No.
Honest people rise very high. Don't worry. Why it's pi by 2? Pi minus. Actually, we want the theta to be between what? Strictly 90 degree and 180 degree. Am I right? Let us say alpha is equal to 0.
Yeah.
When alpha is equal to 0, according to this formula, what is theta? Tell me. When alpha is equal to, oh, beautiful, pi. When alpha is equal to pi by 2, then what is theta according to this formula?
Is where 0.
Pi minus pi by 2. Pi minus pi by 2, yeah, so is right. Pi by 2. So, applying this trick, we can always define our theta from pi by 2 to pi by saying theta is equal to pi minus alpha. Is it right?
Yes.
Have you understood now? You see, when alpha is pi by 2, I put pi by 2 here. Pi minus pi by 2 is theta is equal to pi by 2. So theta, as the theta is, theta and pi have relations. Okay, fine. Now comes third quadrant. What is third? Now I will not go clockwise. Rather, I will go anti-clockwise. All right, I'll go anti-clockwise. Beautiful. So this is my theta. I have gone.
So this is clockwise.
Yes, what?
Clockwise.
I said wrong. Sorry, I said wrong. Yeah, I'm going clockwise. Okay, very good. You're right. Thank you for correcting me. I'm going clockwise, Sahaj, and this is my theta.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how will I define theta in terms of alpha so that my theta lies between what? Pi and 3 pi by 2. So the answer is very interesting and very simple trick. Whatever you have taken, how you have defined theta here, how we have defined pi minus alpha, simply take minus of it. So what theta will be? Taken pi minus alpha, na? Pi minus alpha, take minus of this. Automatically it will come in this quadrant. You understand?
Yes.
You can practice it. Put different values of alpha. You will see theta lies between pi and 3 pi by 2. This is also gone. And I also know that x in this case is less than 0 and y is also less than 0. This is point P. Similarly, now I go for fourth quadrant in, what is this? This is principal argument. This is how I define principal argument. So what will be theta? Anybody remembers? How you have defined theta, Sahajdeep, in first quadrant? Simply do word factor. How I have defined theta in
Okay.
first quadrant? Theta is equal to alpha. Just take it. Theta is equal to
Minus alpha.
oh,
Minus
beautiful.
alpha.
You got it? You got it now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, very good. There should be clarity. There should be crystal clarity. Okay? That's what engineers are all about, you know, crystal clarity. And when you have clarity, and then no matter whatever questions come in any competitive exam, oh, you can crack it. Okay? The concept is the most important. Only people who have good foundation of concept, even if they forget the formula, they should be able to derive the formula. They will excel. So this is my theta. How will I write theta? In the clockwise direction. Deep, you are right to correct me. So theta is equal to what? Minus alpha. But that's all. You got it? So theta is equal to minus alpha.
Yes.
What I will now, what will be the range? Range, I will go like this. From here to here. Now what is this angle? This is minus pi by 2 to
Pi.
no, not pi, not pi.
Theta to
Okay? This is 0. Either you can call it 0 or 2 pi. This is this. And sorry, I forgot to define pi here also. So you are going, first you went from here to here. And now in order to define theta, because in this direction, theta is increasing. You see, when I go from minus 3 to 0, actually I am increasing, not decreasing. On the number line, if you are going from minus 3 to 0, you are increasing, not decreasing. So this was minus pi. Now you are going to, what is this?
Minus
This is
pi.
minus pi by 2. Right,
2.
minus pi by 2. Very good. So everything is done? No, I have not defined the this thing. How will I define? Please tell me here. So it will be minus pi of theta less than what? Minus pi by 2.
Pi by
Minus pi by 2. And now this angle is minus pi when I have gone in clockwise direction. If I have gone in anti-clockwise direction, the same angle becomes pi.
Pi.
Very good. Thank you very much.